Welcome to Toffee TV. It's the final word. Everton 2, Boreham Wood 0. FA Cup 5th round. The Blues into the quarter-finals where they will play Crystal Palace away. More fixture changes for Everton. Watford game cancelled. The Crystal Palace home game cancelled now. Because it's semi-final day and one of us will be there. Hopefully it's us. There's not much to say about this in terms of what you're looking to get out of it, because it was one-sided as it should have been. You know, a Premier League side against the National League side. I imagine you were probably a lot calmer than I was. I had a cob on last night. I got a cob on after about 10 minutes and it didn't leave me till this morning, because lack of intensity winds me up when you're trying to build something where you're trying to put performance after performance. I understand it was going to be different than Man City because they have all the ball and you've got to work hard. And we didn't have to press them high because they didn't really have the ball. They just went long. And again, this isn't a slant on Boreham Wood to the National League side, who I thought they were actually, as a team, I thought they were organised brilliantly. They stuck to the job without showing any invention, but that's a confidence thing. But it just, I know there was a lot of changes. Did you expect this kind of performance when you saw the team and how many changes there were?
It's hard to know what to expect, isn't it? Because it's, these games are always, they're a non-win, apart from the actual winning. You know, everything's against you in terms of like what the narrative is. You know, it's a team, the romance of the cup and the TV companies have put the game on live because there's a, you know, if there is a shred of a chance of an upset,
they want to be there.
They want to be there. And or you've just got to win, haven't you? And you know, it's all about their fans and their players. And you know, Everton played their part by, you know, buying them a kit and putting them up for hotels or whatever. And there's nothing you can really gain out of it.
No.
Because they showed very little ambition in the game, which I know a lot of people will go, well, what do you expect? But I did actually expect them to just have a way of them thinking how they were going to try and maybe get some opportunities, set pieces or whatever, but they never. But that's fair enough. Listen, they probably just didn't want to be embarrassed. It's a big payday and all the rest of it, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing for a lot of their players. So you've got to approach it in a professional manner, which I thought we did. I don't quite understand what he was looking to do with the formation. I know we do have a lack of midfielders, and maybe that's why he just thought, well, I'll play 3 at the back. But listen, it was a dreadful first half, an absolutely dreadful first half, and I suppose that's where the frustration comes from. You just mentioned it yourself there. I was very frustrated. You want to, it was a training ground game, so you want to see your players just try things. And if they don't come off, it's fine because you'll get the ball back in about 2 minutes' time. Less than that. You do it again. But I thought first half we were far too safe in our passing, but it was really, really slow. And then we'd end up just giving it away or overhitting a cross or something. Whereas I thought, well, if we actually tried things and sped it up a little bit, we'll get in behind these quite easily. And we never, and that's what frustrated me. And I think we only actually did it once. It was when it was down the right-hand side, the ball came and Rondon knocked it over the top of the lad and then ran onto it and then got a ball in. And that was the only time, really, in the first half we stretched them. And maybe that's because they didn't have any of the ball, so we never brought them out to try and get behind.
I think the opening, Everton started the game all right, actually. We could have been 3-0 up in the first 10 minutes, but then it was the middle bit. We started okay. We had the Michalenko shot, which keeper made a really good save from, to be fair. The Corey put one wide when it was cut back to him, which he should have hit the target with. And Jared Brantwaite done the same after, I think whether it was Patterson who'd done good work or Gordon, and he knocked it wide. And then there was that next bit of the game, up until about 35, 36 minutes, where we literally didn't do anything. We done nothing. We had all of the ball. And it was walking pace. And I've said before, and this is one of the things that I think like Benitez found and Carlo had found at times. When we play slow, teams who come and put men behind the ball, the easiest job in the world. And these lads have proved it. These lads have, you know, some have got second jobs, I think, or whatever, or the National League side. They just stayed in their positions, and it wasn't difficult. You know, and Rondon, I know, listen...
There's very little movement.
He's the match winner, and good. I'm glad for him, he's got the goals, you know. But he wound me up last night, particularly in the first half, because his movement, he just stood next to a lad who you could tell was a non-league centre-back. You know, a bigger version of Adriano. He should play for Inter Milan, or as Nick said, Steele's lookalike in here. And because he dragged Rondon down early on, I thought, he's got the beating of him, because he looked like he put him in trouble. And he just allowed him to bully him in the first half. So much so that his best work was coming below me inside our half and controlling and chesting, passing it back to Michael Keane. There was nothing at the other end. There was one, which he was about 4 yards offside, and the keeper made a good save from, but he was miles off. Yeah. And we needed his movement to be better, but he wasn't alone. Yeah. Anthony Gordon, I would say, was the only one who really was trying to do things, and he looked like that thing that I think we've probably all done when playing football, where when you're up against the team, you know you're better than, you think you should be scoring, and therefore your frustration, you start getting frustrated yourself, and you start doing too much or trying to get it perfect.
But I thought that early on, though. I thought far too bit. Like you've just mentioned there, a couple of chances, which I think there's far too. I watch Everton at times. I suppose you see from other teams where they play in games where it mightn't be at this level, it might be like lesser teams. I think we've seen it against Hull, where it all becomes far too easy. So you're not clinical. You're just wasteful, you're wasteful because you think, oh, there'll be another opportunity in a minute. And that's where, listen, it wasn't going to happen last night, but that's where against some teams, that's where the upsets come from, where you just start being wasteful instead of thinking, this is a big chance, I need to do better, I need to concentrate. I think that's where, like, you know, where the big teams don't struggle against anyone, is that they make sure that when they get chances, they take them or have good enough plays. And I thought we were very wasteful last night in that particular way of Anthony Gordon. More than a couple of times, he had so much of the ball, but generally he chose the wrong option, or tried to be far too clever, where there was no real... It should have either been a shot on target and tested the goalkeeper, or a cross, just put it across the face of goal and seen what happened. And I thought far too many times he was trying, not the spectacular, but just overdoing things. And I think you've got to get... I think. Listen, this is a lad. I think where he's got to a level now where we look at him and think, oh, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. But I thought last night, certainly him and a couple of others, if they'd just been a little bit more on it, could have done what they wanted. Really could have.
He had the shot. We talk about the first 3 chances, then there was nothing. Then he had the one where he did just get a shot away and the keeper makes a decent save at the far post, pushes it away. And a bit more of that. On a night like last night when it was raining,
I'd like to have seen a bit more of that.
The pitch was greasy. Everton should have been hitting 40 shots last night. We ended up with 23, I think. We should have been hitting the 40, because in them games where everyone's back, get your shots away. It skids off the surface. Might hit someone, it might break, rather than passing it so slowly like this. They were just marking their men, which was, they don't, like I said, you've got to give them loads of credit, they kept the shape. Too often we went back. Too often in the first half, the pass was behind the man. So we'd get it, we'd make an advance, knock it off, and then when they passed it back, the player would almost have to stop and go back to pick it up.
Yeah, there was a lot of that last night, a genuine lack of, you know, I think we see this quite often. That's the frustrating thing is, this is not just about last night. You see that quite a lot where we're building the play up and we're going side to side. And then when we do have a little bit of intensity, you get that, the full-back side to overlap. And then the ball's not played, you know, onto this stride. It's played a little bit behind them more. And it's little things like that we, as a team, generally, we have to get better at, because in that first half, it was so slow. It allowed them to get all the men behind the ball. And that's all you want to do, is just want to quicken it up. I think Frank Lampard said that about the second half himself. You know, once we quickened the play up a little bit and started dragging them out of position, we never had any problems at all. But that first half, you know, and there is going to be frustration. There's going to be frustration at the ground, because I don't think anyone went thinking, oh, this was just going to be like a landslide. But you do look at some of the plays and think, you should be doing better against these. You should be doing well better. And it leads to just a little bit of frustration.
See, my issue, like with Rondon last night, was he looked like he was up against Premier League centre-back. So he struggles in the Premier League. Yeah. So I thought last night, when I seen the teams like Sandy or bullied these, you'll get hold of it and you'll give us a thing. And I'm not, I was moaning, I apologise to people that army last night, because I was moaning my head off, but it's just that I want to see more from him. He's an Everton centre-forward. I know that there's something in there, but he like labours through the game.
I don't think there is anything in there.
Well, maybe he's done.
I think his legs are...
You
watch him when he runs,
Yeah. Although, when he scored the second goal, he had about 5 minutes where he was running on like a loon. I think he thought, I'll get at it.
You watch his general, like, demeanour and how he runs, and he does have this very, very awkward way of
them shorts are big,
yeah.
though.
But he does have a very, very awkward
But
way.
like I said before, it wasn't just on him. There was no movement from... Like Andros Townsend, who I think has been a really good signing for Everton. He's a good squad player. What was with whacking every cross, like overhitting every cross?
Certainly in the first half, he was dreadful.
Like the first half was really
And that's where it was like, take care of the ball.
Yeah, just have a little bit more.
Take care of the ball. If you're going to whack a crossing, whack it near the penalty spot so you give other people a chance.
The one person we probably should talk about is obviously Nathan Patterson, who had his Everton debut last night. And again, the formation was a bit strange, because he went with I think it was a 3-4-3. But it didn't look like that, because we were allowed to play so high, because they didn't have any threat, and it ended up with, we had Kenny, Patterson and Townsend all next to each other.
Yeah, that's...
So what did you think?
That's where I thought it was strange. I thought it was strange that he didn't anticipate that we would have all of the ball and all the possession, and maybe he thought they were going to be a little bit more ambitious. I don't know. But I did find that a little bit strange, that we really didn't really need, you know, if Patterson and Mykolenko should have just been the wide men, and there shouldn't have been any other wide men. Should have been a little bit more narrow then and let them, they would have been fine, and then brought, you know, the other players coming out to him and helped them out.
I think he could have gone with 3-5-2 almost then, and had Gordon.
I think we could have gone for 4 at the back, right? But the full-backs would never have been back, and told Allen to sit in front and have the little triangle. And we would have been fine, and you wouldn't have had to worry at all. Yeah. And I just thought it overcomplicated it, and we've seen that with the change in the second half. We just didn't need that extra player. It didn't give any space. And
but just on Patterson, how do you think he did?
I thought he was fine. I thought his numbers were actually quite good. He had a lot of interceptions, and I thought he's got a lovely burst of speed. His crossing let him down, I think, a little bit last night. But he's very confident on the ball, and obviously it's hard to know exactly because of who we played against. But I know we know he's a good player. It's just that there's been obviously an emergence of John Joe Kenny under Frank Lampard that muddies the waters a little bit, and obviously Seamus being the player he is. But I think we've got to be careful both ways. I don't think anyone should write him off. But at the same time, I think we've got to be, you know, certainly when you look at the fixtures, there's going to be quite a few times now going forward where we are playing midweek games. So we've got to start dipping them in, even if it's to come off the bench and give us something a little bit different from the right back role. I think we've got to, because he does look like he's got a bit of, you know, a lot of energy about him, and I think, listen, the manager's got to trust him. If the manager doesn't fully trust him, he's not going to use him. I appreciate that. But so I wouldn't. Listen, I've seen some very misleading things about him last night. I think one national newspaper, or certainly a Scottish newspaper, said he was dragged off and it was almost embarrassing. I don't think that at all. I think he was solid. I just think that I don't know. I think maybe Frank Lampard thought they were going to be a little bit more ambitious. Maybe they just weren't, and that meant he could have an extra player on the pitch and just in a forward position, and obviously that was Richarlison. So it's very unfortunate, because obviously when Mikalenko went off injured, if he was still on the pitch, it would have been a quick, easy swap for John Joe on the other side, but that just wasn't meant to be. But
I wanted to see him below me.
I do want to see more of him. I do really think he's got a big future, like, and he's definitely got that hunger about him. It's the position we're in, isn't it? It's not ideal for betting players.
If he were mid-table, you'd know that he'd be playing, but he's got to just work hard and force his way in, hasn't he? Yeah. Got to half time 0-0, and it was a frustrating, because I thought the Corey and Allen in the first half as well. Neither of them did enough. You know, you've got to, and it's the whole team. Obviously, the whole team there wasn't any movement anyway. And it was standing passes, so knock it in, get it back, knock it in. It was like possession, just in a training game, like you said. And when we did get it to Townsend, his crossing was dreadful. Either hit the first man or it went in the park end stand. And you needed a bit better. But we weren't putting crosses in from the other side, though, which was a bit weird. We were a bit lopsided.
There was a lot of, like, seeing in the second half, one of the things that annoyed me, and it happened down on the right where we had loads of joy, was you had John Joe at first, and then you had Seamus, and they were given really good width. And then Townsend to pick it up, and he had so many chances to put it inside the fullback, and then would turn and start again. And I was just like, we're playing a non-league team. Just give me inside.
You get the habits, don't you? You get those habits, though, when you need to do it sharp.
But it was just like, put it inside the fullback, he'll win it, put a cross in. And then it's in the box, we've got an opportunity. You know, we've seen that with the chance Rondon missed before he scored, which he should have buried, and then with the goal he scored. Like, why are you overcomplicating it against the team? They've got no outlet, and even if they kick it away, it's coming back straight away.
What I think is weird about Everton sometimes is they do pick the harder choice. It's like, this is quite simple, and you get these simple patterns of play. You can use these in the Premier League as well. You've got to get used to doing them. Yeah. You see the best two teams in the league playing very simple football in that final third. Liverpool, it's out to their full-back. He whips the cross in and there's bodies in the box. The same with the other side. Man City do the same. They work it out. They get a little overlap, 1-2 overlap, cross goes in, albeit on the floor. That's what happens, and we wait and we hesitate, and we turn back, and we go back, and we start again, and we go to the halfway line, and it goes there, and then we work it back again, and it can go in, and it comes back, and then
frustrates the crowd that as well. It really frustrates the crowd.
Like, you see, like, the players running and going, not come in, and you have to come back out. Richarlison as well, but he made the change at half time. Patterson went off, and he put Richie on, and I think Richarlison come on it, and it gave Everton that extra bit of control, because he was dropping in and picking. He was more playing in like a 10.
Yeah, he energised us, didn't he? And playing in a completely free role, wasn't he?
He was just popping up.
He just went whenever he wanted, and it worked, because they didn't have a clue how to deal with him. He was running with the ball. He was creating good opportunities, overloads, running with the ball, little flicks off, holding the ball up. Everything you'd expect a Brazilian international to do against a non-league team. And once he came on, and once it quickened up a little bit, and I thought it took actually the emphasis off the Corey and Allen to find that killer passes, because that's what had been happening. And again, that's where I'm disappointed with Townsend. Drop in. You're a senior man. Yeah. Drop in and say to those players, give me the ball. Because you know your fullback's already and
especially him, because he can go either way.
But this is what I was saying about the first half. This is what I couldn't quite understand. Townsend was going into the spaces where Patterson was, and then John Joe Kenny was. So you'd have three all the time. Whereas he, as a senior player with someone with a bit of experience, should be dropping in just around the area and saying to the core, hey, give me the ball. I'll take the ball. I can, instead of being in a wide position.
Or give them the option when we did get down the side to cut it back to him. He's the one who can shoot. So we should have been hanging around that number 10 role. Going, give me the ball. I'll hit me.
You're playing against players who don't have the same kind of football intelligence. So if they're asked to do a job, you know, if you're starting as a left back and you're told mark the right winger, you mark the right winger. But the right winger starts wandering into the centre of the park. You do not have a clue. No. They don't have that kind of level
spaces, isn't it? The space.
They don't have that kind of level of you know, as I say, football intelligence to know what to do in that situation.
Otherwise,
they don't have and also they don't have that kind of tactical ability to see that as that's going on during the games. Just like little things like that. And I know we're
only to buy.
I know we're nitpicking, but if you've got overload on it on both sides, one of your wingers can come in.
We're nitpicking because we want to see that. We want to see a level of performance, don't we, from Everton? We want to see it moving, and it is difficult when they make half a dozen changes. Yeah. It does throw out, any continuity, and you can't. I mean, I watched City against Peterborough for a bit the other night, and they had a similar thing. They had a lot of the ball. They were wasteful, particularly in the first half. They were very wasteful. We were the same. And it's just frustrating because you want to see everyone putting that effort in, and because it was walking pace, it looked. We just didn't have any intensity, and this Everton team with no intensity is rubbish. We've seen it. But Richarlison did make a difference, and we had a good little move actually, which Michalenko put a great ball in. Rondon should have scored really. Went flying in, it went over his foot. Yeah. It was a lovely little move, and Michalenko was a great ball. But we got the breakthrough.
But we had Rondon's miss.
Yeah, sorry, just before it, John Joe Kenny.
Great ball.
Fantastic ball in. And he should score, shouldn't he? Because he's decent in the air, he should hit the target there, heads it over. But he didn't let his head go down, and he was alive for the next one. And Kenny's just gone near post with a nice little ball, actually. Worked it wide, dead simple, like you said.
Nothing difficult.
Put it in the space, and Rondon swept it home. And that was it then. That was the first goal they conceded in the whole competition, which shows you how well organised they've been to get to the 5th round. They've had league clubs the 2 games before as well. So, but once that went in, it was like, this is done, because they didn't have anything there. The only shot they had a Brantwaite kick straight to their striker, and he blazed it over. That was the only shot they had. So I think Frank Lampard would have liked us to get 2 and 3 up so we could bring the kids on, and we thought we got the second with the Richarlison, which was the hit him on the hand. Man, what's mad about that is it did hit his hand. Yeah. He knew nothing about it.
No.
But did hit his hand and it went in. But if that would have hit his hand and dropped square to Rondon and he knocked it in, it was a goal. They give the goal, which is a crazy thing, innit? But far done Richie. He's had, just on Richarlison, Steve Kelly mentioned to me this morning, and he's absolutely right. And happy birthday to George, by the way. Steve, lad was 6 yesterday, big Evertonian. At least Everton won on his birthday, so there you go. Happy birthday, George. Steve said to me, he's been unlucky this year, Richarlison, hasn't he? When you think about it, he has, hasn't he? He's had one of those seasons where things just haven't quite gone. He's had injury and things like that, but also goals disallowed, like Arsenal. He had 2 goals in the game disallowed and scored another one. And things like this shot the other week against Leeds, it's Anthony Gordon and goes in. That one last night, disallowed for it in his hand and all that. So he has had that. It hasn't quite gone the way he wants, and strikers will have goals, don't they? But he did make a big difference, and he's just got to keep putting himself in them positions, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was good when he came on. You wouldn't expect anything less from him. He just has to stay busy and stay fit, and he creates opportunities, makes opportunities, and he gave us a big boost when he came on. Because again, it was just dead simple. Yeah. Just keep it simple, nothing stupid. He had one where the keeper actually made a good save.
I made a great save, the keeper, yeah.
Not long, because I'll be honest, I thought the keeper was shocking for Rondon's goal. I thought that's shocking. I'd be
for the first.
Oh, I'd be going mad if our goalie let that in. But he made a good save.
I don't know whether he thought he was going to go across him and he caught him.
Yeah. I don't know. But he did make a good save from Richarlison. But Richarlison just overloaded them, and they didn't know where to go after that. And obviously we had to swap John Joe onto the side when Michalenko went off and Seamus came on. But again, certainly down the right-hand side, we were always...
Well, he's busy, Seamus. And that shows him with what was it, 25 minutes to go, when he can put that 25 minutes in. He's still dangerous, and he's brave, and he's you know what he's like. But we got the second goal on the other side this time. Andros Townsend checking back and standing it up.
Yeah, it's good cross.
Good cross, and it was a good header. And the keeper's been unlucky, he's done well to get there, but it was clearly over the line. One bit of technology that works perfectly, and you can't argue with, isn't it? And it was 2-0, and then he was on for the first Everton player to get a hat-trick since 1934 or something in the FA Cup. And it was over after the first, but it was easily over after the second. Then Everton started having shots, which is kind of what they should have been doing anyway. And they made a couple of great blocks. And
there's one with Richarlison had, didn't he? And he was just about to pull it. He was pulling his foot back. He needed to just be a little bit quicker.
Brilliant tackle.
It was a good tackle, but...
We had Alan trying to hit it out the ground with one of his shots.
The crowd says shoot, don't.
Anthony Gordon had a fist a couple over, didn't he, and a couple wide. Keeper made a good save off one of them. So, you know, we could have ended up with loads. We got to see Lewis Dobbin, albeit it was late on. And then, obviously, we got to see 3 or 4 minutes of Reece Welsh and Isaac Price, who Reece Welsh is a big lad.
Yeah.
Big lad, come on and won a couple of headers and got on the ball a little bit. And Isaac Price had a good little through ball, actually, to I think it was Richarlison. Done all right for the few minutes they were on. And Frank Lampard said the idea was to get them on with 20 plus minutes to go, but the way football is, you can never predict that, can you?
No, you can't. That maybe if Richarlison's goal had been given, then we could have made those subs. It was disappointing that it wasn't. But again, that's where you want. It's just those little moments, isn't it, in games where you think, well, if you can get one in the first half, that game would have been over. We would have got 3 or 4, I imagine. Should we have gone strong from the off and got it won?
No.
Okay. I don't personally think so. I don't personally think so. I think we were right in what we did last night. I think Rondon starting was the right decision. He's got the goals. I think you look at that team should have easily been. Talking about a team in the 5th division, they were very, very ordinary, they had no ambition, and we just needed to be a little bit more
careful.
In the first half, we weren't, and listen, none of the players slogged the guts out to win the game. It was very easy for our players, so I think it was right. It's just that you do expect them to maybe have got a couple of goals up after an hour, and then you can make the subs.
Yeah.
It just so happened that we didn't. It's a shame because how many opportunities like that are you going to get to do that? But I'm disappointed that Richarlison had to play 45 minutes, if I'm honest. I wouldn't want to have played any of that game last night, but the kind of fella he is, he wanted to play anyway. Lampard said that.
Isn't it? He wants to play.
Lampard said that anyway. So, no, I think it was the right to make the changes. If that Everton team can't beat Boreham Wood, then we've got massive issues. So, no, it was right to do what we did last night, I think.
Yeah. And I could, it's a win as a win, and like you said before, and it's absolutely the right thing, is that we were on a hiding to nothing really. We'd have won 6 or 7-0, everyone would have gone, the National League side, and we'd have got beat, it'd have been criminal.
Yeah.
It'd have gone to extra time, it'd have been embarrassing.
Yeah.
So, we could sit, we can sit here and go, we should have won 4 or 5-0, but we had a goal disallowed, could have been 3-0. That's the problem, isn't it? In the final third, we weren't clinical enough, we didn't have enough.
As I said,
invention, certainly in the first half.
They had absolutely no ambition, and that makes it really, really difficult. Makes it really, really.
I think they were just trying to stay in the game as long as they could. For them, they're playing a Premier League side, like you just have 5 leagues above them.
That's it.
Away at a ground which has got 40,000 people or 38,000 people in. Biggest day of their lives for most of them.
Do you know what? I'm not criticising.
So it's hard. It's
no different to what we do when we go to Manchester City.
It's hard. You're trying to stay in and you think, well...
It's just that thing of like when you've got so many men behind the ball, it's
hard to break down.
It's difficult to find the gaps.
But that's where the quickness of play has to come in. If you're sharp with your passing and you speed it up and you move, and people have got to move. If you stand still, you're easy to mark, and that's what Everton found last night. They were easy to mark. We needed someone like Damari Gray, I think, who picks the ball up and runs with it to create space. And that's where, like you were saying before, Townsend was in the wrong area.
To be fair, that's where there was so much onus on Anthony Gordon last night as well. It's
the only type.
He did get a lot of that space. He just tended to waste quite a bit of it.
But I think you need one on it.
No, you do.
What helped was when Richarlison come on, he started doing that. All of a sudden, Gordon had a bit more space because they had to worry about Richarlison doing it. Where in the first half, they didn't have to worry about that. Townsend was just stood wanting to cross the ball. Where you're right, he should have maybe been dropping into.
And the full-backs were always dead high, and the 2 centre-backs just literally just stood there on the halfway line and didn't have anyone to mark or anything. No. That was it. But the game went through, and that's all that matters.
What are your thoughts on Palace away? Just quickly, it's a tough game, isn't it? But it could have been worse.
Game, but it's winnable. It's very winnable. Obviously, we've got 2 big home games going into that one, haven't we? The Wolves and the Newcastle game. So, be very interesting to see what state of mind we're in going into that game. I think we can take about 4,500 down there as well.
Not all the way along the
it's
side.
It's the last game before the international break, so we can basically
play
before everybody who's available. Who, you know, no need to rest anyone. And it's a tough game. Palace have, but they're not amazing. They're not that far above us in the table. So, I'd rather that than a lot of other ones that we could have. They'll see it as a great opportunity to get to semi-final.
I think it's a good draw for both.
But I think, you know, being a one-off game, it's there and it's there to be won. So, go and win it.
Game away from Wembley, innit?
Yeah.
Game away from a semi, and then who knows? And the other ties, you never know what happens in the other ones. So, like you say, could have been worse. Could have been, but got a great opportunity. There you go. Everton are into the FA Cup quarter-final, second season running. And they play Crystal Palace away. So, let me know what you think in the comments below about that one. Are you confident Everton can get a result and get to Wembley? Or are you dreading Crystal Palace away? Whether you're dreading it or not, we've got to play it. So it's the way it is. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up.
We're not looking at the stats.
Oh, we are, sorry. We are looking at the stats. We are. Apologies. There's the stats in the game. Everton 2, Boreham 1-0. 23 shots from Everton, 1 from Boreham Wood. 10 on target for Everton, none for Boreham. 3 big chances to none for Boreham. 80% possession for Everton and 682 passes.
It does look like when we play Man City, doesn't it?
Away. Not the other week. Oh, away, yeah. Away, it's very similar. So, yeah. And we'll have a quick look, while we're here, may as well look at the main man, Solomon Rondon. Let's look at his stats. 38 touches, 5 shots, 2 goals, won half of his duels, 6 out of 11, and completed 2 out of 2 of his dribbles.
Game, what are you moaning about?
Yeah.
What a man of the match performance, that.
Outstanding.
Absolutely quality.
There you go. Hey, listen, he's done his job. He's there to score goals, and he scored the goals, so fair play to him. Fair play to him, just get down back in. There you go. That is us done. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't if you want more videos, including daily live videos and the live question and answer now on Patreon, which we carry on. The link is in the description. So go and join right now. What are you waiting for? See you later.